Hello, and welcome to Just the Dis. My name is Brian, and we talk about Blu-rays here. And today, I am coming back to a company that I absolutely adore, and that is Indicator from the UK. We have talked about their previous noir collections. We have Columbia Noir number 1, beautiful set. We have Columbia Noir number 2, also excellent. And now, Columbia Noir number 3, their newest noir box set. I've talked about them before in terms of the quality of the releases they do and the quality of the box sets in particular, but all their releases are great. But as you can see up here, there's like a whole line of Indicator box sets. They've done great work on their Hammer series. They've done great work on, William Castle and Ray Harryhausen and Sam Fuller and John Ford. They've done all kinds of box sets, and these noir sets are among their best work, and that is saying something. So I'm going to go through this new set. You get a look at what's included here, and you see the belly band, of course, which is one of their signature things, and here is the back. Now, these are all going to be, I'll note if they're not, but I believe they're all Region B locked, which most of Indicator's output has been for a little while. Yeah, it says Region B on the back, but I'll look at the individual releases. Maybe there's a couple in here that aren't. So let's start with the book. I'm not going to call it a booklet. This is like an actual book, and each one of the it's full color, glossy, beautiful book. Each one of the sets comes with something like this, and I just think they do such a wonderful job with these. This limited edition 120-page book has new essays by Peter Stanfield, David Cairns, Michael Olisic, Adam Scovell, Fintan McDonough, Andrew Nett, Jeff Billington, and Ramsey Campbell, and archival articles and interviews as well. So this is a really nice little something that you get with these sets that I think is really neat. And I love a nice book. It's not a booklet. It's beautiful. So anyway, that is the start of it. But let's talk about the movies. Okay. Let's start with The Sniper. Now, The Sniper is from 1952. It stars Adolphe Menjou and also Marie Windsor and Arthur Franz, and that's the main part of the cast. It is directed by the great Edward Dmytryk, who also did stuff like Murder My Sweet and Mirage. I'm a huge fan of Mirage. That's one of his later ones. He did a noir called Cornered with Dick Powell. Just a great, director that's done a ton of this stuff. And this one focuses on a guy played by Adolphe Menjou who is struggling with his hatred of women. He lives in San Francisco, and one of the nice things about the movie is it's shot a lot on location in San Francisco. And so you get to see a lot of stuff in terms of the city at that time. And San Francisco is actually one of my favorite cinematic cities. I probably mentioned that on the channel before, but I love how San Francisco looks in movies, and this particular film uses that location well. So Adolphe Menjou becomes focused on a few different women. He works, I think, as like a delivery boy kind of for I want to say a company that does dry cleaning or something. So he tends to, see women and pick up clothes from them and become obsessed with them. And he becomes obsessed with Marie Windsor, who is one of the women he has to deliver something to. And then he gets a rifle and he starts shooting these women. He becomes kind of a serial killer. And it's a thing where he actually realizes he has this problem, but he can't control himself for whatever reason. And so he even reaches out to the cops and sends an anonymous note saying, please stop me. And so then it becomes sort of a race against time with the cops to try and stop him from killing anyone else. But it is a powerful film in that it's kind of scary, and The way that the shootings are done is stylish and impactful. And this is, among my favorites in terms of noir in this set. I think this is just really a solid noir and one that I'm excited to have on Blu-ray. And this one, let's see here, high definition remaster, original mono audio commentary with Eddie Muller, the czar of noir. Eddie Muller always gives great commentary tracks, and his track on this movie is excellent. That is an older track from 2009. There's an introduction by Martin Scorsese, who's a big fan of this one. It's only about 4 minutes, but that's also from 2009. I want to say a DVD release previous to this. Something called 3 Lives from 1953, a 23-minute short film made for the United Jewish Appeal, reuniting the main players behind The Sniper, writers Edna and Edward Anhalt and director Edward Dmytryk, and star Arthur Franz. 3 Pests and a Mess, 1945, 16 minutes, a comedy short starring the Three Stooges, in which the trio become involved in a deadly shooting incident, or so they think, causing panic. Original trailer, etc. So this one is Region B locked. That is The Sniper. Next we have Johnny O'Clock from 1947. This directed by Robert Rossen. I want to say it's his feature debut. He would go on to write things like The Hustler and just a really great writer-director in his own right. He did a movie called Lilith with Warren Beatty that I'm a big fan of. But just a really solid writer. And so this one stars Dick Powell and Evelyn Keyes. And it also, interestingly, this is just a little side note, it also stars Lee J. Cobb and Ellen Drew and S. Thomas Gomez. But Ellen Drew, of course, would be in, what's it called? Christmas in July. Preston Sturges' Christmas in July with Ellen Drew. I want to say prior to this, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's either a reunion for the two of them or it's getting to see them before that. Now I can't remember the exact year of Christmas in July. I want to say it's early 40s. But anyway, that's a totally different movie, a great comedy that I love. And I think it's neat only in that you get to see the breadth of, performance between Dick Powell and Ellen Drew, who play completely different characters to their characters in the Christmas in July. Completely different. And I love that movie. But I really was, kind of intrigued by how different the characters are in this film. Basically, Dick Powell plays Johnny O'Clock, and he is sort of a gambler, but actually more of a guy who helps run a gambling joint for S. Thomas Gomez, who is married to Ellen Drew, who is a bit of a drunk and who is definitely into Dick Powell. And it's unclear as to whether or not they've ever been involved or if she just would like to be involved with him. And he is wisely not taking the bait because it's his boss's wife. But Lee J. Cobb plays this, sort of junkyard dog type cop who is just not going to give up and is on the hunt for this other dirty cop who is working with S. Thomas Gomez and his casino. And not to give away too much, but the cop is murdered and it becomes a question of who did it. And there's another girl that's involved, and then eventually Evan Keyes is the sister of that girl, and she and Dick Powell sort of become involved. But I don't want to go too far into the plot because it's kind of a fun one to watch unfold. But I definitely enjoyed this one very much. I don't think I'd seen it before. I was aware of it, but I don't think I'd seen it. Looks great on this Blu-ray, and Dick Powell is great. There's almost like a Miller's Crossing kind of vibe in that, he works for S. Thomas Gomez, but, he's sort of like a hotshot himself in a way. And Lee J. Cobb is just great as this cop who just is always on Dick Powell's case, always sort of looking around, trying to catch people in a mistake. And so this is a really solid noir that I very much enjoyed. 2K restoration on this one, original mono soundtrack, audio commentary with filmmaker and film historian Jim Hempel. That's brand new. Jim Hempel is a great commentator and a guy who knows his stuff in terms of cinema, and so he does a wonderful job on this track. And Again, that's brand new. No One Shall Die, 1957, 30 minutes, a short film from the United States. Jewish Appeal, directed by David Lowell Rich and starring Guy Madison, Felicia Farr, Agnes Moorehead. Made by the core crew of many of the Columbia Noirs, including cinematographer Burnett Guffey, art director Carrie Odell, editor Al Clark, and decorator Frank Tuttle, and composer Morris Stoloff. Something called Whoops, I'm an Indian, 1936, 18 minutes. The casino business spells trouble for the Three Stooges, another Three Stooges short. I do like that they do include these Three Stooges shorts on almost all the noir films and others. They've definitely mined the Three Stooges short catalog for all it's worth in terms of digging out similarly themed short films to go with their feature presentations. So that is about it for this one. This is, I guess, a world premiere on Blu-ray. And I want to say, as so is this. Sniper is also a world premiere on Blu-ray. So that's The Sniper and Johnny O'Clock. Next we have Convicted with Broderick Crawford and Glenn Ford. And this one is pretty neat. It is pretty straight up a remake of Howard Hawks' The Criminal Code, which I do prefer to this film. This is from 1950. The Criminal Code was in 1931, I want to say. So almost 20 years after the fact, we get a remake where basically Broderick Crawford is playing the prosecutor role, the Walter Houston role, and Glenn Ford is playing the role of the guy who basically gets in a bar fight and ends up killing another man and going to jail for it. And Broderick Crawford, like Walter Houston, kind of wants to help this guy who just got himself into a really bad situation. He got a little drunk, and this guy started making advances to the girl he was dancing with, and he punched him, and the guy hit his head. And so Broderick Crawford is a, by the book DA, but also a guy without his sympathies. So he even goes as far as trying to advise Glenn Ford's lawyers, like, how to handle the case. But the guy's like, I know what I'm doing. And of course, the lawyer totally fails because he's not a criminal lawyer. He's actually a civil lawyer that was brought in. And so Glenn Ford goes to prison. And once in prison, he ends up in a cell with Millard Mitchell, and a few other guys, who Millard Mitchell sort of plays the Karloff role, to a T, in terms of the Criminal Code. And this is beat for beat, the Criminal Code, like straight up through the end, pretty much. But of course, the plot of the Criminal Code is that the prosecutor becomes the warden. In this case, Broderick Crawford becomes the warden of the prison where Glenn Ford is housed. And he has a daughter played by Dorothy Malone, who he sort of brings along, and he tries to involve the prisoners and be generally more sympathetic to them. And especially to Glenn Ford's character, who he feels particularly responsible for in some ways. But it's a really solid remake of the Criminal Code, and I dug it. This is let's see here. This contains an audio commentary of film historians Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson, brand new, great duo. I've never heard them too much on noirs, but I have heard them on genre cinema, and they're always excellent, and they play off each other really well. So I look forward to that track. Codes and Convictions, 2021, 30 minutes, a video essay by Jonathan Bygraves, which examines Convicted in relation to Columbia Pictures and other screening adaptations of Martin Flavin's play, The Criminal Code. So obviously, the play had been adapted more than one other time. And the one in particular I've seen and I'm aware of is the Hawks version, but I feel like there's versions outside of that, obviously. So this, 30-minute piece looks at those similarities, which is cool. So Long, Mr. Chumps, 1941, 18 minutes, comedy short starring the Three Stooges, in which the trio discover that prison life is complicated business. So a prison Three Stooges short to go with it. And this is also a world premiere on Blu-ray. That is Convicted. Next up we have Between Midnight and Dawn from 1950. This one is directed by Gordon Douglas, Workman regular director Gordon Douglas, and it stars Mark Stevens, Edmund O'Brien, and Gail Storm, and it's really a cop movie. It is about two cops, prowling the streets of Los Angeles. They've known each other since the war. They live together. They're like that kind of buddies. And, so you sort of get to see the procedural nature of their job. and how they're after one particular young gangster in direct, that like he's their main focus. Like they just have it in for this guy, and so they're constantly sort of harassing him a little bit, hanging out in his clubs and keeping an eye on him, and he doesn't care for it. And so eventually they get him arrested, and it causes a vendetta. But the other subplot is that there is a woman, I want to say played by Gail Robbins, who is, I think she works in a sort of secretarial capacity in the police station, but her dad was a cop, and so she has sort of made it her life's mission to not date cops. And both of these cops have an interest in her once they get to know her, and so that she is always sort of pushing them off, but eventually starts to hang out with these guys, and that complicates things, of course. But yeah, the vendetta between them and the gangster becomes kind of a thing, and I don't want to go too far into that. But very solid noir, very solid procedural. I like LA movies of this period. You get to see Los Angeles as it was in 1950, and that is always intriguing and gratifying to me. So this is another one I hadn't seen. This is another world premiere on Blu-ray. It has an audio commentary with author and entertainment journalist Brian Reisman. That's brand new. Categorically dependable, 2021, 16 minutes. This is writer and critic Kim Newman. Kim Newman assesses the long, eclectic career of director Gordon Douglas. So he, speaks about, obviously not just this film, but in general, the kind of work and the kind of films that Gordon Douglas did and how he feels about Douglas. And he pulls out the Andrew Sarris book where they touch on some different directors, and he's reading from that, but definitely has his own opinions and ideas about Gordon Douglas as a workman kind of director. So I always love a good Kim Newman commentary / interview about anything, but even outside of horror, I like him on any genre. So noir is great. Dizzy Detectives, 1943, 19 minutes. Comedy short starring the Three Stooges, in which the trio play police officers on the trail of a psychopath and a criminal mastermind. It's crazy how close they can get to the plots of some of these movies in terms of the shorts. But anyway, these are all Region B so far. I haven't seen any that weren't Region B in this set. So just letting you know, that's the case. Two more to go here. We have The Dark Past. Now, this is one I don't know if I've seen or not. It is apparently about a gang who hold a family hostage in their home, and the leader of the gang of escape cons is apparently bothered by some kind of recurring dream that the doctor of the house may be able to analyze. So you have that sort of thing going on. But it stars William Holden, Nina Folk, Lee J. Cobb again. And yeah, this one I'm intrigued by. I haven't had a chance to watch this one yet. This is from 1948. It's directed by Rudolph Mattei, who also did some other solid noirs. Things like, I'm trying to remember what's the big... Well, DOA is one of the big ones he did. That's one I always think of when I think of him. He also did some science fiction like When Worlds Collide. So definitely a guy that made the rounds in terms of genres. He did westerns as well. But yeah, so I'm intrigued by this one. I'm a big fan of William Holden and Lee J. Cobb, so I'm quite sure this will be interesting when I get to it. Another world premiere on Blu-ray, also Region B. Or audio commentary with academic and curator Eloise Ross. That's brand new. The Poise Performance, 2021, 14 minutes. Critic and historian Pamela Hutchinson assesses the career of actor Nina Folk. The Gulf Scream Guild Theater Blind Alley, 1940, 23 minutes, a radio adaptation of the James Warwick play upon which The Dark Past is based, starring Edward G. Robinson, Joseph Kalia, and Isabel Jewell. And Shivering Sherlocks, 1948, 18 minutes. The Three Stooges get mixed up with a dangerous gang of criminals hiding out at an isolated mansion. Yeah, world premiere on Blu-ray, Region B. I said that. So that is The Dark Past. And then last but not least, we have City of Fear, which is another film that I am aware of, but I have not seen. And this one, it says a million eyes wide and wild with terror. An escaped convict gets a hold of some radioactive material after his escape. Authorities desperately trying to find the man that unknowingly is threatening the lives of everyone in the city. This one stars Vince Edwards, headlining, and some other actors I'm not as aware of. John Archer, Patricia Blair, Stephen Rich. Directed by Irving Lerner. This one also a world premiere on Blu-ray and a Region B disc, and has a lot of stuff in terms of features. We have an audio commentary with film critic and writer Adrian Martin. That's brand new. Pulp Paranoia from 2010. That's filmmaker Christopher Nolan discussing the influence of film noir. Really great, only about 7 minutes. That's from a previous Columbia DVD box set, I think. But just to get Christopher Nolan's thoughts on noir, I mean, that's, you gotta love that. So then there is the About Then new, let's see here, the autobiography of a Jeep, 1943, 10 minutes. Lighthearted documentary produced and directed by Irving Lerner, the director, about the new all-purpose vehicle, the then new. Apparently Jeeps were new then, and so Irving Lerner does his own little short about Jeeps. So that's kind of cool. I like stuff from the same director that they're doing around the same. Well, this is 1959, so it's years after he did that. But the autobiography of a Jeep audio commentary has a track from film historian Jeremy Arnold that's brand new. Something called Hymn of the Nations, 1944, 29 minutes. A documentary produced and edited by Lerner and directed by Alexander Hammid, featuring famed conductor Arturo Toscani and the NBC Symphony Orchestra performing the music of Giuseppe Verdi, presented in its complete uncut version. So that's very cool. Another project that Lerner was involved with. We get attached to this. The Cummington Story, 1945, 20 minutes. A documentary short written and directed by Helen Grayson and Larry Madison, produced by Lerner, and featuring the music of Arnold Copland, reenacting the stories of a group of refugees who relocated to a small American town during World War II. And then also Oil's Well That Ends Well, 1958, 17 minutes. The Three Stooges are convinced they can make money from uranium. World premiere on Blu-ray, Region B. So that is it for this lovely film noir, Columbia Noir number 3 set from Indicator. This is the lovely box. I love the sturdiness of said box. Always feels really good to hold and has a nice knock to it. Great stuff. I really, again, love Indicator, and I love these noir box sets. I'm not sure if they have any more of these in the pipeline, but they have more Hammer box sets coming and maybe more noir. I'd love to see that. These have been home runs, all of them so far. So definitely check out Indicator's website, powerhousefilms.co.uk, and see what they've got on the burner. They just announced some new titles recently, and so I highly recommend subscribing to their newsletter so you can keep track of everything that they're doing, because it's all great stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.